Welcome to the Purpose for Life podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Roberts, author of It's Deeper Than That and founder of The Great Reconnection. And I have here with me today for Wisdom Wednesdays my co-pilot, Monu Singh. Thank you for being here, Monu.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So glad to be with you all.
I always like to start with what is our deeper purpose for life and just remind us that while we're here and we might have jobs or in families and worldly responsibilities, that there's a deeper purpose for us that we're designed for. And we call it the battery designed for reconnection, or the ideal pattern. That there's a source of life that gives life to all of creation. And in us as human beings, our soul is a drop of that eternal ocean of love, and it's sending energy through our body and through form in order to return back to itself. So we could say succinctly that our soul is operating through form in order for us to remember that we are soul consciousness, so that there's a deeper purpose for our life underneath whatever purpose we are fulfilling in this world, that we are designed to return to remember, and to reconnect to the power of our own soul consciousness. And ultimately, that is what the Great Reconnection is about, is so that we can work with our mind to become more neutral, more curious, more open, more receptive to be led by our soul consciousness, which is a drop of the eternal ocean of love. And that's much more inspiring than when our mind is the controller itself. So we always want to have that backdrop on our Wisdom Wednesdays, whichever day of the week you're listening to this. So today, because it's very cold here in Akron, Ohio, I'm having tea at the podcast studio. And my tea bag has a little saying on it that we're going to explore here today in the context of the battery design of reconnection, returning to our soul consciousness. So Bob Marley says, some people feel the rain, others just get wet. So I asked Tyler Perry, who is the owner of this podcast studio, what that meant to him. And he said that it's about being present, being in the experience. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting way of saying it. If we take it back to the battery designed for reconnection, or the ideal pattern, we feel and experience the rain of grace of our soul currency showering upon us. Or we're so focused on the outer world that we just get wet. We don't actually experience what we're being offered. It could mean that, like Tyler was saying, that in every moment we're actually in the fullness of every experience, that we're alive in it, rather than just walking through life bumping around. Those are just a couple of thoughts I have, but I'm curious, Monu, like when you hear some people feel the rain, others just get wet, what that means to you.
To me, it's like, are we awake to what's actually happening? Like I often say, like the capital R reality of our lives, or are we really just trapped, looping in the world of form or in our mind? And I think that when we are awake to the fact that we are here to know and deepen in ourselves and in our soul consciousness, then we do feel the rain, as the quote
Mm-hmm.
says.
Yeah.
But when we're asleep to that, or when we turn away from that awareness, then it just feels like we're getting wet. Then it just feels like we're suffering. We're uncomfortable, we're annoyed, we're irritated by what is happening around us, rather than being able to see and understand that there's actually a much bigger story that's playing out, a much bigger and greater reality that we are a part of. And especially when I think of rain, like it can be nourishing, it can be sustaining, like, and that's what we're missing out on when we're not attuned to that.
No, I love that for sure. If our soul is sending energy through us, it's sending benevolence and grace and mercy, and we're being showered with infinite love. We're being showered by grace, by mercy, and we don't have to do anything to earn it. We just have to become receptive to it and experience that. And I just remember walking on the first time I went on the Appalachian Trail was during a hurricane. And we had it scheduled. So what are you going to do? You start walking, and it was just pouring, pouring, pouring. And we never actually looked up because we had these rain gear on with this like thing where so it doesn't shower upon your face. And, you can't really look up because there's roots and rocks and gushing little rivulets of water sometimes or in water anyway. And then, it's just like one step after the other. And then one day we were at one of the highest points in Virginia and we woke up and the rain stopped. And all of a sudden there was this like magnificent view. And yet the view was there all along.
Right.
Right? I think that's what you're saying. The view is there all along. Are we receptive to it? And I also just recently did a talk on guard your contentment well. And I looked up the Latin word root for content, and it was first about containment, and then it was about peace with what is. And I think that attitude of mine, like I'm going to be at peace with what is, makes me receptive to the bounty instead of wanting more and more and more, where it will never be enough, that there is already way more than enough showering upon us.
It reminds me of what Tyler said, right? That, like, when we are present and then fully aware and conscious of what we have and what has been given to us, then we are able to be content, right? And not forward looking or grasping for something other than what we already have. Like you said, we've been given so much already.
I think it behooves us to explore inside of us what we've actually been given. We're so busy chasing it outside, we don't even pay attention to the bounty that's within us. And let us get drenched in that rain and experience that. And any parting words today for our listeners, Monu?
Just what I always say, like, take that time, turn your attention inwards, see what there is to discover there. It's amazing inside.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much. This is the Purpose for Life podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Roberts, co-pilot Monu Singh. I'm the author of It's Deeper Than That and founder of The Great Reconnection. Thank you all for being with us again for Wisdom Wednesdays.